Folks, welcome back to Roadside Nuggets. My name is George, here with 5D Full Disclosure this evening with y'all. Welcome to October 31st, the last day of the month, and also the midpoint between the fall fall equinox and the winter solstice. So this is the midpoint. So definitely this is the tipping point. So this is where we start to dip even further, deeper into the internal self. And also, thus, for the collective, the entire part of humanity, we are also going to the collective internal aspects and bring all what they call the shadow self. It's all part of ourself. It's all part of our different aspects, because we're all multidimensional. We don't have one side. We're not one persona. We're not one specific personality. We are many different layers of love performing, and personality is expressed through all the different ways, through our physical body, our vocal cords, our ideas and creativity, and what we are capable of producing and bringing to physicality. So all of it collectively is a grand experience, but we have a lot of cleaning up to do. So this Scorpio season is definitely bringing on the heat, and it's bringing up all the dirty laundry for everyone to look at. A lot of stuff that we've been prolonging way too long. We've been dragging it out redundantly. It's been a broken record. We already know this. We've seen it. We're tired of doing it continuously ourselves, but we haven't stopped the process. We haven't made the choice to actually break the cycle and switch it to a new lane. Find the solution, a new lane to put that energy through, so it's not a self-sabotage. It's not complicating your process or your path of you moving forward in your life, right? So really, really good. We're going to start off with the horoscope today. So just jumping out the back again, you can find this on horoscope.com. And there's going to be different parts we'll dissect here later. But for October 31st for this year, so happy Halloween. It is a happy day, however. I wouldn't stop there the first time. So, happy Halloween. It's a happy day. The whole Halloween thing, don't give it energy. I know there's a lot of people out there who have a lot of resistance and a lot of just almost like a phobia, when it comes to, Halloween time. And of course, there's people that over-glorify the darker aspects of humanity's lower ideas and just what we're capable of doing, But all said and done, you can flip it. You can make it a happy day. You can make it into whatever grand day you want. It doesn't have to be this day that you have fear, this day that you stay indoors because of what everyone's wearing, what everyone's into is having power over you. So then you feel uncomfortable going out. You feel uncomfortable going, just living your life and being in the experience. It's definitely a lot of people that have, who religion programming and, conditioning have a lot of those internal doubts and fears and phobias and things just being around people in general of that nature, or things they don't understand, things that it's uncertain, or it's just not their kind of flow that they're used to. Is oh, that's strange, I'm not gonna go over there, type stuff. And it's it creates these fence lines, where it barricades you, and ultimately what people don't understand, they box themselves in further, create more comfort zones, So I encourage a lot of you who have a lot of that, the spiritual belief systems and also the religion belief systems and stuff, go out, go out and enjoy the day, the night, and everything like that, as if it were, another day, another beautiful night that you were enjoying, regardless of what everyone's wearing. It actually might be a good test for a lot of you people who have that issue with attaching to what you see and not being able to, be non-attached and still be in your own zone, your own flow, despite what other people are choosing to do. It's a good test. It's a good training, experience for y'all. And it's a totally, happy experience for the most part. You have a lot of children energy, flowing around. Actually, I don't even know how it's going to be this year because of the whole pandemic thing. So, I mean, I imagine in a lot of different places they will allow it. And, parents are just going to, hold the middle finger up to everybody else about it. And then, in some places and states, it's definitely a lot more conservative, a lot more locked down and, fear-based. So, they may not have that for the children this year. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. It's not really about the holiday. But it is something that is more centered around the children and that the children definitely look forward to. And so I feel definitely it's a good topic and a point to make to where, these things that we do try to, blanket over and say like, oh, it's a happy holiday for the children, get candy and trick or treat and stuff. We can make it safer. We can make it more of an enjoyable day for them without having to allow all the entourage of lower bullshit that we adults put into it because we want to be included, but yet we put our own crap into it, and that's what the children imprint off of and what they are absorbing. So, of course, the responsibility and accountability for our actions, what we are entertaining and absorbing ourselves as adults, because we're also suffocating our inner child. If that's traumatic, this is a very important, point to make. If something is traumatic to a child, if something is too much or too overwhelming, for a child, what do you feel you are doing to your inner child when you are constantly exposing yourself to the same things that you would never let your child watch with you or see or be exposed to? What do you feel it's doing to your innocence at that point? The same thing it would do to a child's innocence. It would strip it away, right? But you see, as adults, we have this belief system that we are more capable as adults to handle tougher decisions and to make harder life choices, even at the detriment of someone else's life, experience. And that's like the hardest, coldest, way to go about it because it definitely bypasses your innocence and everybody else's innocence that they have as well. They are endowed that by heaven, by God. Nobody else can take that away. No one else can say otherwise, that someone's not innocent. Everyone's innocent. God's already stated it. So good point to make for everybody. Just with, it's a new perspective, a new lens to look at things in your life. If you are, just absorbing or constantly allowing yourself to be, even around, even around like definitely groups, individuals, like definitely, I know growing up, there was a lot of, I didn't really have a lot of friends, but definitely there was a lot of different groups that I associated with. I was almost like a chameleon. I definitely blended in a lot. I knew how to kind of like talk the different lingos and look the different parts and just kind of like blended in the different, things growing up and stuff. But definitely there was a lot of that, the energy of, one of trying to be, I don't know, and just help me out. Like it's more like a, trying to find your mark, but not really knowing where that mark is, so like it's kind of like you just kind of like get used to learning the behavior and like the walk of others, and you're kind of like finding yourself through their experiences in a lot of different ways, if that makes sense. I don't know where I was going with it, but anyways, going back to the children and just like the holiday, making the holidays more safer and just changing the whole theme of it, and the children love dress up. Dress up is not the problem. Definitely there's some things we could extract from, that with the whole like, skeleton and bloody and gory and all that different stuff, and the whole decay of the human vessel and everything like that. That's not divine. It's not honor and respectful to this beautiful vehicle that the soul is carried by in this life experience that everyone is honored to be here in. So to over-glorify something so, demeaning of your divinity, of who every single one of us are, but also to teach that to the children, and teach them that that's cool, that that's something to get into. It teaches them to diminish their innocence more as well, to let go of their innocence and step more into that dysfunction, that is something more for them, that's something being, approved of and supported, for them to do and for them to align with in their energy. And children still have that, again, innocence. So there's still that massive amount of not knowing any better, and so with the lack of guidance and accountability of beings who have more wisdom and intelligence, clearly, to make higher decisions and choices when we do not. It leaves the children, to detriment of the dysfunction of what they imprint off of, what they learn and grow with and stuff. So, anyways, going back to that, I stopped at Halloween. So the energy is very dense today, even though there aren't many astrological aspects happening in the sky. The reason is because today marks the halfway point between the fall equinox and the winter solstice. It's the beginning of the darker, or I would say the deeper internal parts, half of the year. The autumnal harvest is now over, and we're slowly moving toward winter. In the northern hemisphere, the sun sets earlier and the temperature begins to drop. An ancient Celtic feast day. Oh, bug off, ad. So an ancient Celtic feast day, Samhain, I guess, has blended with All Souls Day to become a major celebration of life. It's a time to put squabbles aside and come together as a community. Interesting, never heard of that day. Which is the effect of Uranus. Now, Uranus, just to remind everybody, Uranus is the doer planet. Like, that planet, whenever it enters the room, it causes change and shift. It is the planet of, I guess you can call it cosmic, evolution. Whenever Uranus connects with something, enters the room, it is solely, fully intentional. It is a purposeful energy, and its sole intention is to cause change and shift, to provide growth, expansion, or if something gets too stagnant, something gets too boxed in or too locked down. When that Uranus energy comes in, it's like a bowling ball, or like a freaking massive 1-ton ball on a crane that comes in swinging, it smashes everything completely apart. And that energy to move all the energy out and get it moving, give it momentum, allows the energy to start getting back into alignment and flow. So Uranus is very important and very powerful for correction and change, and also for growth. Whenever we get stuck in our ways, whenever we get very rigid or go into the deep behavioral patterns where it becomes so consistent we can't break that cycle for ourselves. A lot of times when Uranus comes into that energy, it is that powerful, sometimes can be very harsh lessons sometimes in life, but also it could be a very swift change, in your experience. Just completely out of nowhere, out of left field, something just happens out of nowhere, and then things are quickly changing now from that one thing, and the dominoes started falling, and that would be like Uranus energy. So, let's see, where were we at? Which is the effect of Uranus on the moon today. Uranus, which is retrograde in Taurus, and so Taurus again represents the physical body and also the physical planet as well. So it's a physical matter, physicality. Gives the Virgo moon a sense of unity with others. The veil between the spiritual and material world is very thin, which can attract unwanted energy or yada yada, and or just lower frequencies into our energy fields and our spaces as well. Definitely because, and I'll explain this a little bit more too, because the collective consciousness is we're all connected to it, and so if majority of the population is centered and focused on something, it becomes very impressionable on the rest of the collective, unless you have a good strong center and core within yourself. If you do not, that strong impression, because it's so big and it has so much weight to it, because it could be thousands or millions of people are all either thinking the same thing or along the same general area, or they're all supporting the same theme, like a holiday, right? Which changes the collective energy for everyone, and everyone can pick up on it. Everyone starts to kind of embody and emulate from that collective energy that everyone's kind of pushing, especially the people who massively support it. Their energy is massively pushing it as well. And then, so the people who don't have a strong anchor or core or center within themselves, you're like a bag in the wind, so you will get picked up by that strong energy. That's why holidays are so impressionable, and they have such an effect on humanity every year within this country, and I'm sure other countries as well. It's because it has that kind of effect, because most of the collective believes in it in the same way, they support it in the same way, or they have the same kind of ideology in the same way, that energy groups together and it becomes a massive cloud form of energy. and everyone's, connected to the collective consciousness. So basically everyone who doesn't have that core center of themselves, you basically get plugged up into that collective consciousness that everyone else is pushing, and you start to be influenced by that energy. Okay. So, so definitely, the whole thing about, Halloween and all that, definitely it brings up that darker tone in I guess the human experience in a lot of ways. That is reflected back to us by, the many different interesting costumes that a lot of people choose to wear. And again, there's no judgment or opinion, but also there is also the energy of, the, dishonoring and undervaluing of the human, physical body, the vessel, and just like the lack of awareness and spirituality and just what and who humanity is and what we are connected to and who we are, that definitely, shows in our arrogance in a lot of ways of how we express what we call joy, how we express what we find joy in, and just with a little bit of awareness, things can change and expand quickly. Once people learn and know more, then their joy and what they find joy in will change and shift with their experience of who they are, because they're growing, they're expanding. It's always going to change as they expand throughout their life. So you're never just one thing forever. So even back to what we were sharing. This can be felt through the Virgo moon's opposition to Neptune, which is retrograde in Pisces. Make sure you're protected from outside energies that may affect your vigor. If you need to spend time away from certain people, make a moment to find peace and rest with all the energies at play today. It's important to put yourself first. So very important thing, especially now that we are making this tipping point off the ledge into more of the deeper internal parts of ourselves. Definitely you're going to have to, set that tone with yourself. Definitely go steady. And don't rush anything. Don't be rash, because, especially the collective energy now, especially moving mostly through November, it's going to be a lot of the deep internal. So it's not really a whole lot of outward action or choices or making a lot of different changes and things like outwardly in your life. That's not what this energy is really ultimately about. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. However, on the biggest, theme of the energy is mostly directed internally to ourselves. And this is what's internally undergoing a process, so really where we're so used to be externalized, and this is building an urgency because now we're going deeper internally. The ego's going to want to manipulate and pull you into external to be distracted, where really we got to focus more internally, reflect more on what's going on inside, because this is the moment where for the collective, that's really a lot of different deeper layers are getting purged and stripped away, because they need to be, okay? And we talked about as well, we are, a couple days away from, and I've heard that, the Scorpio New Moon is on, when I received the information, it was on the 4th, and then I was told that it was on the 2nd or something like that from another source, so I have to go deeper research, but it's coming up around that time frame. So that Scorpio New Moon in November, that is going to be a massive pocket of energy that's going to come in like a riptide. Okay, we are just clearing all these different strips and different layers of the fear, the fight or flight, the survival, the panic, the anxiety, all those different layers and frequencies of energies within our cores, right? Getting that cleared up, pulled to the surface, being recognized and acknowledged as we move forward steady in this process. And now once we move into between the 2nd and the 4th of November, I guess, I'm pretty sure it's around the 4th, that's where that new moon in Scorpio begins. And also we are still in Scorpio season. We're on the also, moving into the second half of it. So this is going to be some massive, deep changes. And a lot of what's already started, the snowball that started in the beginning of Scorpio season, also probably for a lot of us, days or a week before that season started, that snowball that started, we are in the second half, the second round of Scorpio season, basically. So now that snowball that started in the very beginning, it's built momentum the entire time and it's picked up a lot of speed. So now this is when it starts crashing into walls. This is where all of your resistance, all of your comfort zones, all of your stubbornness, all of your I don't want tos and pushbacks, where your lack of surrender is absolutely targeted and challenged. by the divine. Okay? Because all the awareness, everything we just gone through, and everything coming up, the emotion, everything, yes, we're releasing, we're transforming, yes, but there is still choices to make now, because we're not going to go back to where we were, and we are not going to keep making the same dumb choices continuously going forward. So there's choices to make, and you're not getting let off the hook at all. God and the angels are not letting anybody off the hook at all. I see you, Kiri. Give me one moment, beautiful. And everybody is held accountable and responsible, So definitely we got to get through all this energy, and this is where we come into face-to-face with ourselves, with all our different, comfort zones and, do's and doesn't want to's and everything like that, So definitely this energy is going to be really, really awesome. And then also on November 6th, after that new moon, Scorpio starts around the 4th, the 6th is when the collective grief begins to get triggered within everybody. Okay? And this is what I explained before, is why it was so important for everybody to go through all these different stages and layers of themselves and get all that fiery fight, flight or flight energy out of them. The survival, the different, tiptoe and all that, and just at least see it, at least acknowledge it, at least have an awareness on it, and get a better grip on yourself as we move forward. That way we can work on being calmer and centered and more stable. Because by the time we get to the 6th November, that deep core part of grief is going to be blasting to the surface. And it's going to be a lot of energy and a lot of releasing. It's going to be like a flood. All right. And you're going to need to be as calm and patient with yourself, and as, be able to process that with wherever you're at with that. And it's kind of very difficult, next to impossible, for you to sit there and really process and reflect and move through grief when you're in a constant fight or flight mode, panic, shock, anxiety, stress. You don't feel safe, you don't feel open and vulnerable, so you're not going to be able to access and tap into the grief to bring that up and release it, right? So the collective is walking around with a tremendous amount of grief. It's literally like a loaded bomb inside of us, and that is weighing us down as a collective in very massive ways. So definitely the angels are conspiring in our favor, and definitely getting everything set up for this grand trigger moment to set it off for the collective and bring about all these different grief layers that we have been not able to really access and feel into and bring to the surface to release. Okay? All right. Kiri, I'm going to unmute you. Okay. I unmuted you, beautiful. Hi, Kiri. Or maybe she didn't mean to press that. Okay. All right, we'll move forward. If you want to speak, you just have to press the little mic thing, and then it shows me a little blue hand, and it waves at me, so that lets me know that you want to talk. But if you didn't mean to press it, it's all good. But if you do want to talk, you can just press it again, and then I'll see it. All right, so we're going to move forward. So I definitely want to get to this really cool channeling I found today. It's really beautiful. Let's see, where's that? Here we go. So this was written by someone named Jamie Price, and it says, "Innocence pulses through you. In the constant escalation of release and activation, the divine balance of masculine and feminine comes into view. The history rises to be retold and refold into a new imagining of what can be. Let your heart wander into new territory, as what was becomes a new story. The 11th hour has never been easy, but it always offers a promise. Can you be stronger than imagined? Can you be clearer than you knew? Can you be the future instead of the past again? What has passed is beckoning you to release it from the present, so that it does not repeat, and repeat. Here we are at a turning point arriving. What it is unknown, yet an echo of past. What far off time and place began the call? As it bounces off walls, the heart beats faster. It's unseen, but the echo feels real. Who has eyes to see the invisible sound? As the cycles go, winter or summer soon arrives. Life seems to be dormant and dead on the surface, yet within there is a renewal where origin and destination dance again. Here you reside, within the winter of your long season, stirring and hungry, still too tired to fully wake, for the new season is not yet arrived. Within each season there's also opposite flow. It may be far away or deep within, but the wake will be felt, for time only stands still where the body can't be. Oceans washing past into present take the future away. You hold memory far beneath the graffiti of war. It was a time when ritual was not a decree of worship. It was a joining, a joying, a bonding of freedom. The energy was sensed by sensational hearts. The opposites were clear, transparent. The origin and destination were not oblivious of each other. They knew they were, they are, they will be one. Opposite was not out of sight. Eyes were open and lives apparent, springing off new growth that called community to cure. The separate was equal, for life was infinite. Within the smallest, finest, finite form was the biggest of life into new body born. Held all potential, so each was informed. The male and the female, separate but equal. The male and the female, two in one. The female and the male knew the connection of opposite was life's vehicle, time. The heart of time. It drives you. This force bigger than the biggest of armies. It compels and consumes and brings death to great wealth. It is the wake under life's raft, the wrath of tides. The drowned echoes of past don't remember the waves, but your heart still holds the imprint of each resounding swell. Each beat, each pulse, a chord of connection, harmonizing into dissonance with a rhythmic time. It can't be held. No matter how strong the armed forces, it reckons with the reflection that becomes hideous holding onto past. A sad story once held such glory, but just a facade that becomes gory, weathered and withered until the time finally stops. The 11th hour rings loud on the clocks. Does it signal as the pulse becomes known? Each beat is expected, the future is shown. As it goes on, it was really, really cool. So I'll post that for everybody to read further in Telegram. It's like a lot longer than that. But definitely it's very, really awesome. And definitely it has a lot of codes in that. Definitely felt a lot of body light ups, just reading through. But definitely this is a lot of the energy that we are at right now in this point. And again, as we shared, the beginning of the season, that, this year in particular is a very different Scorpio season than the ones that we are normally have gone through. And there's been some other confirms, I can't remember what someone had shared. I'll have to find it again. And then also Hopi had shared, about the human design chart on the girls' live stream, Hope and Aurora. They were talking about basically this time of the year is basically where all the different gates within your physical vessel that hold, I guess the frequencies of stress and anxiety, the survival, fight or flight patterns, and just all the different trauma that's been stored. This is the particular, time of the year where that collective energy gets triggered every year, and it causes it go to a layer, a clearing process through the layers. So, very, confirm based, but basically, this Scorpio season basically, and the angels were kind of like tying it to the different transformation, different, I guess the phases of the Scorpio, where it goes from Scorpion to Eagle to Phoenix, and how that Phoenix level basically, or a lot of the aspects and the form of that energy, that transformation is a lot of what the collective is going through this particular year. We have cleared a lot of different energies. We have leveled up. Our physical vessels are ready finally for a lot of these deeper purges, and also the death of a lot of different parts of the old self that is ready to be renewed by the fire and also what can be recreated and renewed from these fires going forward into 2022. And 2022 is the start and definitely a big marker in a lot of this manifesting for the 5D new earth, and also for our collective physical movement towards that direction as a collective, and also everything that has to follow suit regarding politics, government, everything like that. So definitely that says a lot about these next 2 months that we are about to dive through. That's literally all we got before 2022 starts. So November and December are about to be jam-packed with tons of energy. Yes, it's going to be beautiful Thanksgiving and Christmas, but this is also, if you look at it, this is also why a lot of family arguments and outbreaks happen around this time of year. Like, I remember growing up, there's always when families come together, a lot of times there's always these different spats and these 10-year-old arguments and never end, and just continue and stuff. But it's something about that energy where it's yes, everyone's open and vulnerable, everyone's more sensitive and more aware and just conscious of each other, but at the same time they're also still there. When you're that aware and that sensitive and that sensitive of yourself and other people, it also brings back everything in that year you have not processed and transformed, which is a lot of emotions, a lot of different things that come to the surface immediately. As your sensitivity starts to kick in higher, you immediately start picking up on all of that. So of course everyone's getting into this good, vibe and everything, relaxing and being around each other and stuff like that. But then that's also why there's so many different moments why people get on edge, and as soon as the shoe drops in the room, it dominoes around the whole house, and it's everyone can feel it. It's yeah, okay, we got 5 more hours left before we can leave. It's people start looking at the clock at the store, start eating food, fill their plate, and just be looking like they're busy. Yeah, I've seen it all. I definitely a part of a lot of those different experiences, and so it is very interesting, going forward. And moving into the winter solstice, this is going to be the deeper core parts of the internal part of ourself and just what we are getting rid of. And again, when we say, we're accepting all the different parts of ourselves and acknowledging that, that is you, right? When we're talking more about the different, behavioral patterns, the sabotages, the different belief systems, the lower thoughts, the different, disempowerments that we hold within ourselves that are holding us back. All the different things, that's really what's dying, during these moments in the collective, during this season, particularly. And this is also recreating a new human being within you, because as all these things that have, held you back, as you go through these purging fires and transform yourself and come out the other side, you no longer have the things that are holding you back there, right? So if that's no longer there, what do you have the potential to be now? Because you're not held back. You are able to move forward, branch out, and recreate yourself in a new way and advance in a way you couldn't before, because you had that riding on your back. You were overwhelmed, you were attached, you were fixated or obsessed. You couldn't get out of whatever it was, or you couldn't see around it, you couldn't understand, or whatever it was. And now you have that clarity. Now you have the closure. Now you have the ability to let it go, forgive, have faith, have trust, to move forward. Not identify with it, whatever it is for you in your experience. This is the moment where those choices start coming to the surface and are being made for us as well. They're not being made for you, you have to make them. So that means lessons and experiences are coming for all of us during these moments and times, as we reach the end of Scorpio's season, of definitely putting everything that we have become aware of, what we've acknowledged, what we've learned. Now is it's time to start changing up or switching around, coming with a new idea or a new way of doing things. This is, the second part of Scorpio season. This is where we start coming with the solution part of it. How are we going to put this into effect? How are we going to apply this to ourselves, to our life? How are we going about doing this? Our action, our behavior. What needs to be adjusted? What needs to be aligned now for this to work for us, so that we can actually put this in effect and apply it. That's where this time frame right now that we are stepping into, this is where we're at with that. Okay, so definitely the next 2 weeks, probably going to be challenging and definitely testing for a lot of people, just as we start to learn to apply and put into effect what we've learned so far, in the last couple of weeks and months, and just what's coming to our awareness, what we are prepared to do now, to change, to grow, to evolve, to mature, and to become greater, grander beings in ourselves, and to change the old ways, to get rid of the old thoughts, get rid of the old, just the old emotions. So you don't feel that anymore. You can feel something new. You can feel something better, because you're worthy of that. It has nothing to do with really deserving anything. You're given that and granted that by God, but it's your choice to feel that and allow yourself to feel that. And if there's something in the way, it is your responsibility and accountability to move it out of the way so you can have that experience and feel it. But it's always granted to you by God. God's never stopping you from that experience. Okay? So, definitely being more trusting and open during these time frames. Definitely everyone's getting their tests. I'm getting my test. You're getting your test. We're all getting our tests. Definitely a lot. I definitely had a big one last night. I had a pop. It was coming, and I saw it for days, and I didn't it's one of those things where you see things building up, and you're just kind of you're yeah, okay. You just keep focusing on other things and keep being busy and moving around, and it's that's in those moments that the angels are all right, so you're gonna walk around and not address it. We're gonna pop it, So they'll come in and they'll play baseball. They're wee, let's start the game. So definitely, I enjoyed that little ride they gave me yesterday, and it took me for a moment, but I got back on stream, processed, flipped it, and definitely pushed it. And I'm grateful, and definitely grateful to release and allow. And I know for many of us, humanity is very stubborn, and we're very resistant. And a lot of times we can get very set in our ways where we can lock down so much, tense up so much, to the point where we don't even realize that we're not actually releasing. We're not actually letting loosening up. We're rock solid, And then a lot of times, it's an interesting experience actually. On the side note, I'll share this too. It's an interesting experience that happened last night. Definitely I had a conversation with my sister Aurora about PTSD and different things. And I made so many different connections. I have no idea. And just the ego is sneaky bastard like this, But I had no idea or realize how, very much so. I very much possibly have had PTSD my whole life. From the moment I came out of, the institution. I was institutionalized as a child around 5th grade, since 10 or 11, around that age. So basically that's what, I was institutionalized for a year and a half or so. And that was, definitely a very impactful, very traumatizing, scary situation to be in, especially as a child, but I never ever and as much as my father, both my parents are military, and they're retired now, but definitely the military has been my whole life. But especially my dad, he has massive PTSD. We talked about it all the time, about his PTSD and stuff like that. But I never ever made the connection for myself, and I don't know why that never occurred. After knowing so much about it, having so much experience and wisdom, and just about that, just I don't know why it never clicked for me. But just talking with Aurora about it really helped me zone in on a couple of things myself. And just realizing that my physical body and how much different experiences I've had in my life, and definitely coming to mission with my spine, and how my spine was literally starting to twist and contort in different ways, and it was very early stages of scoliosis, starting to go into that, I can, to the point where I could literally feel my spine literally starting to twist in different directions, to the point where I couldn't even put my back straight. Literally, I walked around and it was one point. It was so bad that my shoulder on one side was dropped and this shoulder was up, and I literally could not adjust it to be level. It was very, very excruciating, painful, and that's when just around the time I started getting into energy work and started being able to release a lot of the energy and work on myself. Thank God, Mom and the angels led me there. But anyways, going back to the side note, just the PTSD. So basically I was like sitting in bed and I was just like, all right, angels, like show me like if I have if I have PTSD, or if that's really what is a big layer that I have not seen in myself, I haven't like become fully aware, like I was like, show it to me. And then like immediately the angels came through my body, and I watched them. They came through and they like pinged off these different areas, in my body, on the left side, and through like the neck, and the shoulder, or my heart space, all the way down to the solar plexus. And then it was like all these different areas that I've had so much issues with through life. Like those are exactly the areas where, of course, as a child, just growing up and carrying this and just festering and growing more and more, it definitely started having like very physical effects on my body. And definitely, I remember different moments I thought I had IBS because my stomach was so bad. Like literally, my stomach was so bad. Like my muscles atrophied weirdly very fast. And that was an interesting experience. I didn't understand what that was about, because like I'm a young person, I'm not overweight. I get out a lot, not as much as a lot of people on average do, but definitely I don't stay indoors all the time. I definitely like being outside, and like going for a run or swimming and being active in different moments. So like the fact that I was experiencing literally like my muscles atrophying, like literally like losing strength quickly, and like to the point where I couldn't even like carry like 2 jugs of milk. It was like weird. It's like I didn't know what was going on with my body, because I was eating every day. I was drinking water. It's like I didn't really take but it was like my body was adjusting so much, and definitely from coming off of all those pharmaceutical pills and stuff, it hit the body physically really bad. Where the chemistry in my brain had to rewire, and the body went through a lot of crazy changes. But anyway, so PTSD. So what happened in the bed last night, so basically when the angels triggered it and it went through my body, through the different layers, my body started going to like a panic attack. It started to seize up. So like from like my neck down through like my left shoulder, and through my left shoulder down to my left arm, almost to the elbow. And then I felt it almost like halfway through like the top of my chest on the left side, and through my rib cage. Literally, it was like that whole part of my side, my body, felt like a cap came over it, and literally that whole part of my body started seizing and started like literally like moving. And like I remember like I was like just watching it, like observing it. I didn't freak out or anything, but I was just watching it. My shoulders started like coming in like more towards my chest like this, and my body started like contorting, getting very tight and squeezing. My muscles were flexing and just getting very, very tense, and weren't releasing or relaxing. And I just stayed with myself. I just breathed through it, and I realized, because I had just asked the angels to trigger it. So, I realized what was happening. So I didn't like go into like a panic, like oh my God, what's going on? So I stayed calm, breathed through it and stuff. But that's just definitely how so many things. It doesn't matter how many years you've lived or how much you think you know about yourself. How we can so easily miss something, even as right there under your nose. And that just to show you, like literally, my life has been full of PTSD. I didn't even realize or connect that for myself. But then, my parents being in the military and having it my whole life, me being aware of it, seeing them go through the process of what that looks like, from having that from war and everything like that, and that yet still not, and maybe that's what it was. I had such a heavy belief system about it because, I'm not going to war and everything like that, but I had like something connected to a belief system in there, whereas like PTSD, war, crime, like something very violent and like traumatic and stuff like that, but never really seeing it my own way, I guess. I don't know, just an interesting topic to share with everybody. But these are definitely the different moments where a lot of these different parts of yourself, they're old. A lot of them are probably from earlier parts of your life, or they're from recent parts. They're just moments and different fragments of yourself that you're ready. You're so ready to forgive. You're so ready to accept them, to love them back into wholeness and let go of your perceptions of them. Because until you can get to that point to where you can give it space, and this is how energy works, you are not going to be able to discern or gain any more deeper awareness until you can get space from it, until there can be a gap of non-attachment. Okay, while you are so closed up and attached to it, in control or trying to hold on to it, it gets very hard for you to navigate the experience and also to understand what is going on Therefore, you're going to get half truth. You're going to get like little fragments, little bits and pieces, and you're not going to get everything, through. So, definitely this is the moment where we slow all the way down, we breathe, we step back, and we look at the bigger picture, because it all is a bigger picture. It's all for a bigger purpose. Everything is multidimensional. So keeping that as at the forefront as our perspective when we are looking at different parts of ourself even, and not getting stuck on different parts or details and like identifying or getting attached or going to denial or deflection because we don't want to be something. It's like they're all energies, We have to stop being so apprehensive to like going into an experience, and definitely I can resonate with that a lot, and everybody on this team can resonate with that a lot as with the PTSD and on like all that fight or flight mode and stuff, and just how the physical body literally it's not even a program at that point. Literally the body is conditioned on autopilot drive, that whenever certain circumstances or events take place in your surrounding environment, the physical body will automatically go into defense mode. And because it's already been recently triggered, because it already has recent experience and it's still fresh and raw, the physical body is even more apprehensive and has more of a hyper awareness about it, to where literally it's so sensitive that at the single drop of that pen, boom, all right, now wrapping it all up, moving it out, all right. And that's how quickly the energy will come in and snatch things out of place, because that PTSD is so, it's a highly volatile, like highly surging energetic, and because it's of that nature, it's very intimidating for a lot of people to even slow down enough and realize they've been been running on adrenaline for the most part. They've been running on fumes. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not loving themselves. They're not they're not having peace. And you can say someone gets good rest, but if your day is stressful every single day, all day long, every single day, it's like there's no break to that. It's like something's going on. That's not a normal state for any human being to be or exist at, regardless of your environment or surroundings. So definitely it's more of an internal matter that's going on that is disturbing you. It's like nails on the chalkboard, right? You can put on the prettiest face. You can wear the best clothes you want. You can drive the coolest car you got. But with that scratching on the chalkboard going on inside, you can't hide it. You're going to notice it. You're going to pick up on it. And it's going to get louder and louder, after a certain point, to where you have to engage yourself on a deeper level at some point, or interact with yourself and reflect on a deeper level than you have before, because what you've been doing so far is not going to do it anymore. You've got to level up. We have to expand. We get so used to wanting to fall into this, it's not consistency. It's a broken record. It's redundancy. Wanting to do the same insane thing over and over, but never actually bettering or supporting yourself higher, right? So we got to break the cycle and find a solution for it. So, all right, we're going to go through some comments on here. So, happy October 31st, everybody. We got Igor, we got Casey, we got Krista, Rose Holloway, we got Roxy, we got Ted Togo, we got Sean, and we got Emma, and I'm pretty sure there's more people. I saw more people on here, but I got on this kind of late. And over here on Telegram, we got Lindsay, Christine, we got Allie, Felix, we got Anna Ray, we got Zach, Alexandria, we got X, Donna, and we have Soaring Ego. So welcome everybody, and thank you everybody for being on for today. I love you all. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of this evening. Be centered and grounded, and everyone drink lots of water. You're going to need a lot of water to flush all the crap out, okay? The more water you drink, the more that will flow. And that's what we want. We want flow. Okay? Steady flow. Love you all. Take care of yourself. We have a special event on Telegram taking place literally as soon as we end the stream. That's going on literally now. So that is a special experience with everybody on Telegram. We're going to do a live Black Mirror meditation for everyone to go through that experience collectively. So we're going to end this stream. So jump on Telegram after, and we will see you all literally in a split second. Okay. I love you all. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you all tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Mountain Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Time with Buddha and Jerry for morning stream and podcast tonight at some point. Love you all. Take care. I